I am crafting my stash and making some new home decor, and I am using whatever I have on hand, hence the crafting my stash. A lot of Dollar Tree items is definitely included in that, but other clearance finds and deals. Home decor on a budget, basically. Let's get started. I have some of these wooden boxes, wooden cubes from the Dollar Tree. Maybe you've seen them recently, maybe you haven't. I don't know. They've been around for a long time. These actually came to my stash via my mother's stash. She has given me a bunch of her craft stash fairly recently, and I was thrilled to have more items to craft with. So we're going to build ourselves a little, the word is leaving me, a little box. We're just going to call it that. I don't know why like a planter, kind of like a planter. And I'm going to be using some Gorilla household glue and some wood glue. No, I'm going to use some Gorilla household glue and some hot glue. And I'm going to use these clamps. These are from the Dollar Tree as well. Very handy to have to hold them together. Now I will say, if you've used any of these pieces from Dollar Tree or really anywhere, even though they're the same, they're different. Like they're mass produced. The measurements aren't exactly the same, but we're going to make it work, but they're not perfectly even. Also, when gluing these together, because the clamps are just at the top, I felt like the bottoms did not get super, tight. I did weigh them down with some items while they were drying, but it doesn't have to be perfect. If you want this to be more seamless, then I would recommend sanding it down, using some wood filler or spackling, and then sand that down. I'm good with the perfectly imperfect, but I glued 3 of them together. I did the little cutouts facing inward so you won't be able to see these in the end, and then I glued both sets of 3 together using the same method, just doing my best to hold them tight together while that glue is drying. So rocks come in handy for that. Okay, I did let that sit for quite a bit and then take all the clamps off, and we're going to give this a coat of Waverly chalk paint in white. Now I'm going to paint all of this. I'm painting the sides and the bottom. This takes the paint really well. It only took 1 coat. These raw wood pieces from Dollar Tree take paint very well. For the inside of the cubes, at first I was like, do I really need to paint it all? Let me just paint a little bit down in case you can see it. In the end, I ended up just painting the whole thing white. I don't know. I just got on a roll. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Leanne. I enjoy sharing budget-friendly DIYs here on this channel. And if you are into that kind of thing, please consider subscribing to my channel before you leave. I like to make DIY home decor easy and simple and budget-friendly for everybody. Okay, gold mine from my mother, rub-on transfers from Dollar Tree, and I was so excited to have those. But we're going to come back to those in a second. I also have this resin piece. A friend gave this to me. I've not actually used resin myself, but you can also use hot glue in molds, which I really should give that a try. I need to do that soon. And some air dry clay, which I also have some that I need to be working on and trying to get better at. So lots of ways to get this, but anyway, I'm just using what I have. So I gave that a coat of paint of Celery by Waverly. And then while that is drying, I'm putting these rub-on transfers onto one side of the box. I like my pieces to look a little bit finished from both sides, especially if it's going to be on a coffee table or something like that. It's nice to have a little something on both sides, if you're into that. If you're not, then don't. These rub-on transfers transfer very well. Dollar Tree ones I found have transferred well, except for their gold ones. Those ones are kind of a nightmare. All the other ones transfer fairly easily. So it can vary a little bit depending on the surface you're using, but overall I'd say they transfer easily. Once that resin piece was dry, I decided to add just some green leaves to the center of we'll call it a medallion. I don't know, is it a medallion with that shape? I don't know. But I just thought that was really pretty and added a little something extra to it. And we are going to just use some hot glue to put that on one side of this box. Now, you can use wood glue or super glue or something else if you're worried about a more permanent hold. I think it's going to be just fine. And then I wanted to add some little feet to the bottom. And I went to my stash, to my Christmas stash, and these are some wooden snowmen that I picked up from the Dollar Tree. If you know they're snowmen, they look like upside down snowmen. If you don't know they're snowmen, I think they just like look like little wooden legs. And so that's what we're putting at the bottom to just elevate the piece a little bit, lift it up off the table, surface, counter, wherever. And I'm leaving them the raw wood. You could paint them. I thought about that, but honestly, I like the contrast of the raw wood with the white box. You can see this box does not come together seamlessly in all of the areas, but it's okay. But like I said, if that bothers you, sand, add some filler, sand it down. You could make this look like a complete one piece if you wanted. And then I just went into my stash. I've got some greenery scraps. These are probably all from Walmart is my guess. And I keep all my scraps, all my pieces. Some of these had longer stems, so I just pulled everything off of the stems because these are not deep boxes. If you want, you can use some floral foam to hold them in better, but this is going to be fine. It's not going to be where someone's going to be messing with it. And then it's just easy to change out if I want to. Here is what I am considering the back of the piece, but it really doesn't matter. Could also just do transfers all the way around, but I just wanted to show you some of the details here. If you don't have those little wooden snowmen, you can use beads. You can look through your stuff. There's so many different things you could use for little feet and lots of different things you could use for small little embellishments. Take a look through your stash and see what you can find. So this is one of those white canvases. You can pick it up from the Dollar Tree. You can also pick them up at Hobby Lobby or other craft stores. The canvas has already been removed from the frame. I have the canvas from a previous DIY that I did, and the wooden frame came from one that my mom had previously done. She had taken the canvas off. So we're going to pair them together, but essentially, if you take the canvas off of the frame, you will have both of these pieces. I am going to paint this with Waverly's paint in truffle. My mom also gave me a bunch of paint. I was so excited. It was like Christmas. She's like, do you want this? She's getting ready to downsize again. My parents are, and so she likes to craft just like me. That's where I get that from, but she just doesn't do it as much, and so I was happy to take these things off of her hands. So I'm just going to paint all the inside, the top, and the outside. I'm going to leave the back free of paint because it's just not necessary. And I'm just going to paint this and give it a good coat. The wood really does absorb it well. And I do go back in with a paper towel to wipe it off. You don't really have to do it. I'm not trying to make it look like a stain. But this way there was no paint clumping and it will dry a little bit faster. So that's just what I decided to do just to kind of help move it along. But that is not necessary if you don't want to. If you're enjoying this video, please give it a thumbs up. Hit that like button. It helps me out so much. It lets YouTube know that you're enjoying it and makes them more likely to share it with others. All right, something else from my stash from the Dollar Tree is their calendars. I'm not sure what year this is from, but it's at least from a couple of years ago. And there's a few that would have worked well for this piece, but I'm going to go with this Our Happy Place with the sunflowers. And I didn't want to do the calendar page by itself because it was too thin. You could also just use like a poster board or put it in just a frame, but I'm going to glue it on top of the canvas. I'm using just this purple school glue. Actually, school stuff's coming out, school supplies coming out, either in stores now or soon. Grab some of these while they are on sale for your year of crafting. I love the purple, just makes it a little bit easier. And it will dry clear. And then I'm just going to attach the calendar to this. Now, I was thinking that the glue instead of Mod Podge would allow it to be less wrinkly. I did place this under something heavy while it dried, but it still looked wrinkly. So I'm going to do what I would have done if I just used Mod Podge, and that is lay out a piece of parchment paper so we don't burn our paper, and using my little mini heat press on low heat, and smooth it out, and it worked like a charm. If you don't have a mini heat press, you can use a household iron. Just make sure you use low heat and no steam. And I'm just going to go across the whole thing and smooth this piece out. We're going to attach our frame to the canvas or to our calendar page now with just using some hot glue. You can use anything you want. And I'm just going to, I've tried putting the glue and applying the canvas a little bit at a time, like putting the frame on the bottom, and the canvas always ends up bowing up a little bit on me. So this worked out better. I had the piece flat on the table, put the frame down, and it worked perfectly. So I recommend that method. And then I'm just going to use a little cutting tool. I think this is actually from the Dollar Tree as well. And I'm going to trim off the excess. I thought this was easier than trying to trim it beforehand and then having to center it. This worked better. But I quickly was like, why am I doing this without a straight edge? This would be so much easier. And it was. This was a lot easier. And we're just going to trim that off. It also gives a pretty neat finish on the back when you do this. There you go. It was a 2023 calendar, which means I bought it at the end of 2022. So it's time to, move stuff out of my stash by either using it or getting rid of it. But that is it for this piece. It's all done. I just have it laying down. It was kind of easier to show you without having any, I don't know, the lighting was just better this way. But very simple way, the reverse canvas idea, but then adding something to the canvas. If you've seen other people do the reverse canvas projects, but I love how this piece came out. All right, so this little Easter sign was from Hobby Lobby, and I got it when it was 90% off. I think that says $2.99, so I paid 29 cents. That sounds about right. That's about what I'm willing to pay for after season clearance from Hobby Lobby. Using my heat gun to soften up the sticker. It was kind of hard to do that with one hand. And then we're going to also clean up the front as well. The bunny word is wood pieces, so I'm just trying to soften up the glue behind it. And we're going to clean this up. You can use something from the Dollar Tree. You can use Dollar General has great clearance pieces as well, along with thrift items and rummage sales, or just old home decor that you don't like anymore. Just destroy it and then turn it into something beautiful. So we're going to just take off that, and I'm going to give it a good sanding. This would have been easier with my electric sander, but then I would have had to go outside in the heat, and I didn't want to. Plus, that wouldn't have really helped. Well, it would have, but it's okay. It wasn't too bad with my finger sander. I'm not trying to sand off all the paint. I just wanted to sand off the words in the print because I figured that would be harder to cover up with paint. Once I get that all cleaned up, we're going to give this a couple of coats of Waverly's chalk paint in the color white. And I was just trying to not let it gob up here on the edges, but you can use obviously any color you want. I'm going kind of more farmhouse neutral with this video. There's some color, and but it's also a little bit more neutral. It could be for any time of year. That previous piece would be great for the fall. Anyways, you do how you like. I'm just here to give you some inspiration. And if you are enjoying this video, please say hello down in the comments. Just let me know you're here. Let me know which one's your favorite. Let me know what DIYs you're in the mood for coming up next, coming soon. Or just leave me an emoji if you don't know what to say. That is fine too. I would just love to hear from you in the comments. So these stamps here are from the Dollar Tree, and I've used the ink from Dollar Tree. And for some projects, I really like it. It does come out a little bit more muted, but I wanted to try some new ink that was a little bit more vibrant. So I picked up this ink pad from Hobby Lobby. It was only $1.99, and I love it. First, I was like, wow, this is so much more vibrant. I will say it dried down almost looking like a soft navy. First here, that was my error. I did not have this problem. After this, I did not press down. So this stamp does end up looking a little bit blurred because I did go over it a second time. But overall, I really like this ink pad. I think I'm going to get more in other colors for other seasons. And it really brought the Dollar Tree stamps to life. I like the Dollar Tree stamps or ink. I like the stamps and I like the ink, but I definitely wanted to try some other ink, and I'm glad I did. And I'm just going to do some different florals all over. I'm kind of wanting it to look kind of like a flower wallpaper, a floral background. So I'm just trying to cover the whole thing, even though we're going to cover up some of this with something else we're going to add on here. I just wanted it to look like a floral scrapbook paper, where there's various designs all over. That's kind of what I was going for. I will say when you use stamps, clean up the stamps right away with a wet paper towel or a baby wipe is what I usually use. While that is drying, I'm going to paint this medallion. This little floral piece is a resin piece poured by my friend. She gifted me some. Love it. Love her. But you can use all different things. But I wanted to do something that didn't have any words on it. And so I thought this was pretty. And I'm using Celery by Waverly. And then we're going to just hot glue this onto the center. And this just makes for a really pretty, just filler piece, shelf sitter.
even though the ink dried a little bit more blue, I don't know if that's because I used the heat gun, although I didn't use the heat gun on all of it. I think it just dried that way. I thought it actually complemented the celery color very well, and this is going to be a nice kind of filler piece. I wanted to show you how I just decided to decorate a little tray. So here it is on my coffee table, and I thought that just be nice to show it to you all together.
Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Help my channel out in that way. Also, if you would like to see some more budget-friendly home decor DIYs, make sure that you subscribe to my channel before you leave. Say hello down in the comments, even if it's just leaving me an emoji to let me know you're here. It helps me out, and I love hearing from you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.